The faithful Hall of Fame, Moses. This is Moses, who was an Israelite born in Egypt, in a time when Israelite boys were not supposed to live.
Wait, huh?
Moses, however, grew up in the palace of the Pharaoh, the very man who was enslaving the Israelite people. When Moses grew up, he made a big mistake and fled Egypt to live with the Midianites.
For my more astute viewers, you may notice that up until this point, this video is completely indistinguishable from the previous one. I promise you that you did not click on the wrong episode, this is just how they do things.
But God called Moses back to Egypt to deliver his people with the help of his brother Aaron. After God showed his miraculous power in Egypt, he led the Israelites through the Red Sea and towards the Promised Land.
And right there is the first big point of this video that was not in the previous one. Apparently in the previous video they neglected to mention that all of the horrible things that God caused in Egypt didn't matter at all and can be skipped in their entirety. Good to know.
They followed God, who showed himself as a cloud by day and fire by night. As God led them through the wilderness, the Israelites became thirsty and hungry. They complained to Moses and Aaron and said, "If only we had died in Egypt."
Important to note here is the fact that they aren't simply bitching about being tired and a wee bit peckish. This, according to my Bible, happened on the 15th day of aimlessly wandering through the wilderness.
God said to Moses that he would provide for his people.
Hey!
Each morning they awoke and found manna for the day.
What's that?
And each night God gave them meat.
They leave out a sizable portion of this as well. This happened every day except for the Sabbath, which, may I remind you, nobody actually knows when that is. Instead of raining bread and meat on the Sabbath, God instead rained twice as much on the day before the Sabbath because it was, for some stupid reason, wrong to even so much as go gather bread off the ground on the Sabbath. So when he did not rain bread on the Sabbath and some people went out to look for it, God got super pissed off about it. Not super important, but really fucking dumb.
The people were still thirsty, and they were mad at Moses, saying, "Did you bring us out here to die of thirst?" So Moses cried out to God, and God told Moses to strike a rock, and water came flowing out of it for the people to drink. And so the Lord provided for his people's needs.
I'm really curious what the Israelites were drinking for the first 2 weeks of their wandering, because there's no way that they carried enough water for all of those people, and even if they had, it would have likely evaporated in the hot desert sun. Is this supposed to be the first water they've had since they left Egypt?
After traveling in the desert for 3 months, they came to Mount Sinai, and God called Moses from the top of the mountain.
Well, according to a very painful combination of Google Maps and a shitty ancient map in the back pages of my Bible, I've found that to walk from their starting point, supposedly being Ramses, and ending up somewhere close to the supposed Mount Sinai should have taken a little bit more than 4 days on foot, not the 3 months that it did. So either God is a shitty navigator, or God is a shitty navigator.
God spoke to Moses there of the future of his people and reminded him of the miracles of the past. After 3 days, there was thunder and lightning as a thick cloud covered the mountain. The people heard a loud trumpet blast. And Moses led people to the foot of the mountain to meet with God.
And was also very clear in his instructions that anybody who so much as touched the base of the mountain would be killed.
God told them how his people were to live and how they were to honor him and respect each other. the Israelites had seen for themselves that God had spoken to Moses from heaven. These rules that God told them are called the 10 Commandments. And the Israelites feared God, for his mighty power had brought them out of slavery and provided for them in the desert.
I honestly don't understand how something this important to your religion can get glossed over so easily and not even really get touched on in your video. But because you've completely skipped the 10 Commandments, we will, in the next video, leave the sultry, comforting voice of our usual narrator and visit a different production team's account of the 10 Commandments. This was a bit of a shorter episode, but sadly there just simply is not that much to go off of here. Just a lot of skipping and glossing over of inconvenient sections of the Bible. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and a comment down below. Subscribe to get notified when I release the next part of this series, going over all the things that this video skipped, as well as other future content. Thank you all very much for watching, and as always, have a blessed day, fellow heathens.